Hi, welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm Lynn, and today I'm going to count down my top 10 favorite dice games. I chose games that you use the dice, whether or not you roll them or not, every turn. That makes it a dice game to me, and I just find it really fun to roll dice. So my first one, number 10, is Fantasy. It is sort of like they definitely got inspired by Yahtzee because of the name also is a clue to that. You get cards and you have to roll the dice and get certain number of pips on the die to get these little like minions out, and then you do battle with bigger like boss creatures in the center of the table. So that was Fantasy, my number 10. My number 9, I have these out of order. Oops. My number 9 is King of Tokyo, which is a press your luck dice game where every player is some sort of big movie monster creature based on slightly based on the Godzilla franchise. And you get points if you're in the center in Tokyo, but the other monsters can push you out and things like that. It's a pretty well-known game, and that is my number 9, King of Tokyo. My number 8 is a newer game. It's Sentient. This one is it's more dice manipulation. You roll the dice at the beginning of every turn to get the facing that you're going to then manipulate, and you can see on the back here you're gonna bid for cards and you get points based on whether the dice to the left and the right do what the card says. Like this one says the one on the left the number has to be less than the one on the right, and they'll all be similar like that. Some of them have some crazy mathematical equations that make my brain hurt, but it is a fun game. And that was number 8. My number 7 is Unearth. This is I'm not quite sure it's not quite push your luck, and it's not quite dice manipulation, but there's a little bit of both in it. It's really hard to explain. Even the back doesn't really help. There are these cards that have a number on them, and you roll a die, and then you put that die on one of the cards. And when the sum total of all the dice on that card equals the number, then that card it goes away. I think the person who won it gets the card. And it's really hard to explain, and I'm doing a terrible job at it, but it's a fun game. So that was Unearth. And my number 6 is Tsunami. This is a game where I think it goes up to 4 or 5 players, but to me it definitely feels like a 2-player game. Oh, 6 players. Wow. Yeah, don't play it with 6 people. This is definitely a 2-player game that they were just like, yeah, you can play more people, and it doesn't really work. This one this is more like you use dice to show what you own. So you don't roll them. You're placing tiles, and then the dice are going to, then you place a die on the tile, and it like affects everything else. It goes in like waves. That's why there's the wave on the front. You can make the entire board change to your favor in a turn, and it's really fun. And then we have number 5 is Quantum, which is another game where you roll the dice like once, and then you just manipulate it and move it around the table. Your dice represent a spaceship, and depending on the number of the die that's face up, it's a different ship, and it has different abilities, and you basically want to move your ship around the board and colonize planets. And that was Quantum, my number 5. My number 4 is Three Little Pigs. This is one of the yellow storybook games, so it opens like a book. It has a spine. This is a press your luck dice game. It is for kids, but it's also, I mean, we don't have kids and we play it because it's fun. You're trying to build the Three Little Pigs houses, and the taller they are and the better materials that are used, the more points they're worth. And they have a fun thing with a spinner with the wolf where it says to blow on the spinner like the wolf huffing and puffing to see where the wolf comes and tries to wreck the house. And then my number 3 is Artifacts Inc. Artifacts Inc. is it's worker placement that uses dice as the workers, and you're an archaeologist and you're going on all these expeditions and using your dice to get artifacts or get supplies or, you know, doing other things. Each card will have how many dice you need and what the pips you need and what you get, and it's a really fun game with a lot going on. My number 2 is the Catan dice game. It's a condensed version of Catan with press your luck dice rolling. There's 2 versions. There's an easy version and there's a more difficult version. The more difficult version has like the longest road and the largest army and all that, and the easier version is just you're trying to get as many points within a certain amount of turns as possible. And then my number 1 dice game is Quarriors. This is a bag building dice game. You have a bunch of different cards that have a specific die. There's all these different custom dice, and every turn you can either you can choose to get a certain die and put it in your bag to get better monsters. And you can also, I think you can, we haven't played in a long time because Josh doesn't really like it. So I think there's also something with attacking people. And there's lots of, you only use a certain number of cards a game, so you never have the same cards. And I like it because you get a bag full of dice that you get to roll a ton, and it's really fun, and I like it. And that is my number 1 of my top 10 dice games. And I hope you enjoyed the list, and let me know what some of your favorite dice games are. So if you like this video, give it a like, share it on all your social media, subscribe to the Board Game Kaptain on YouTube, that's Board Game Kaptain spelled with a K, and hit the bell icon so you get alerts whenever we upload videos. And until next time, game on.